Well, everything I'm about to say was already scripted and predestined before the Big Bang, so it's all unfolding and unfurling and unspooling moment by moment according to a script that was designed and finalized before the Big Bang. This is a video entitled, Your Life Sucks Shit and You Live in Hell. I wish I would have come across such a video or a book when I was growing up. It seems a lot better to teach the children, if you will, that they live in hell, and that it's ridiculous to expect that at some point in their life they are going to have no more struggle and no more suffering. It's better to teach them to expect struggle and suffering off and on until the day they fucking die. That's just much better. You know, and it's better to teach them to be strong and teach them to pulverize any kind of bullies and to stand up for the underdog, you know, to reject the mob. I mean, that's one of the things that very few of those self-help motivators, positive thinking motherfuckers, it's very few of them, you know, will tell you, will point out the fact that the reason why you're even listening to them or attending their seminars is because your life sucks shit. But they don't emphasize the fact that you live in hell and that it's an intentional life of shit eating. What makes it all the more insidious and vile is the fact that you have plenty of moments of pleasure, of happiness, of no pain, of joy, of laughter, of peace, of kindness, of friendliness. And so there's various people that will promote the idea that you can emphasize the good and minimize the bad, when in fact it's going to be a mix of good and bad until the very end. So it doesn't matter what you believe, doesn't matter what you practice, doesn't matter what you read or don't read, don't believe, don't practice. You're going to have shit and ice cream until the end of the road, until the day you die. In making these videos, we're not interested in making short videos anymore. When I first started making videos in April of 2017, I thought, I'm not going to edit the videos, I'm just going to put them up raw. And I did that for about 6 months, and it seemed that according to the Google Analytics, the average viewing time was like 3 minutes. And so I thought, alright, well, these fuckers, short attention span bastards, will chop the videos up into smaller portions. And I maintained that practice for over a year or so, until eventually I realized, you know what? I don't want to appeal to any special crowd. I don't want to do anything other than what comes natural for me and easy for me. And therefore, I'm just going to make the videos, and if they're long, then I will let them be long. I will not chop them up into smaller portions. My videos are for an audience that get or appreciate or enjoy what I say, and that's that. I'm not out to collect a whole bunch of fucking fans or friends. You know, I would love to make money from talking about this stuff. I would love to make money selling books about this stuff. But I'm not going to do anything phony, you know, to make it happen. I'm not going to do anything hypocritical, like go on some shithole network like CNN, or go on the Oprah fucking Winfrey show, right? You know, I'm not going to do sickening things to try to increase sales or increase fandom. It's like, fuck that shit. It's much better, it's much easier just to be myself, do things that occur naturally and easily, and let the chips fall where they fucking may. So that means getting more and more leisurely as we make these videos. That means being less and less concerned about whether you're losing attention or not. There's only one Alexander T. Newport. There's only one Philobabblist Extraordinaire. After I die, there's no more videos, there's no more books. And everyone else, that if they talk about the perfect eternal conscious energy, they're the imitators, they're the parrots, they're the mimics. There's only one true original Philobabblist Extraordinaire in humanity, and that's Alexander T. Newport. Like him, hate him, love him, it don't fucking matter. He's eating shit and ice cream just like the rest of you. Ain't nothing special about Alexander T. Newport other than the fact that he's been grokking this philobabble since he was 6.5 years old. He's now 55. I make that, what, 49 years? 49 years, yeah. And most people don't. Most people don't spend that much time thinking about philobabble, philosophy, spirituality. Most people don't think that much about the 4 fundamental philosophical questions. But nonetheless, just because I'm special in that regard, it doesn't, like I say, prevent me from eating my fair share of shit. Mostly in the form of just psychological, existential grumbling and griping and complaining and moaning and bitching about various disappointments or what have you. But yeah, when I was growing up, there was no one fucking spitting out the truth that, you know, your life does suck shit and you do live in hell. And the sooner you fucking cop to that, the sooner that you grok on that and realize it's true, well then you can at least make a few adjustments. They're not going to stop the shit, but little adjustments that might add to your box of coping tools. But no. At the end of the day, no matter what your coping tools are, sometimes you just have to burn. Sometimes you just have to burn, man. And you'll note, in looking back, in hindsight, that the burning does pass. And you'll note, right now, today, if you're doing okay, if you're feeling alright at the moment, you know things could be worse. Look back at all those different times that you fucking suffered and how it looked like it was never going to get better. And look at how, wow, you're still the same eternal consciousness that you've always been. Even though you've been immersed in the pain and identified completely with the pain and believed that you were the pain and that you are just this fragile little creature that's doomed to eternal oblivion upon death, you went on to live again, you went on to laugh again, you went on to love again, you went on to smile again. And this eternal consciousness that you are, you know, you're the same I am that you were when you were a kid. You look older, you have more memories, you have a bigger vocabulary, but you're still the same I am. You're still the eyeball swimming through the colorful waters, you know. You're still the open window. So yeah, so I had no one telling me that this, you know, instead I grew up in a world that taught the idea that if you do this or that, if you believe this or that, if you achieve this or that, then the struggle will be over. And you will be like Adam and Eve playing around in a material paradise with no worries, no disappointments, no illness, injury, or diseases. That's the kind of world I grew up in. teaching me that you can expect the struggle to end and the forever happiness to begin. Snake oil. Fucking snake oil. Whatever you've used, whatever you've done, whatever you've thought, whatever you've believed, that's helped you get through the bad times, that's the best you're ever gonna fucking do. So even though we use terms like my soul told me, or my higher self told me, or the Holy Spirit told me, or God told me, there's no one telling us anything. We're just one consciousness. You dig? You're an eternal I am, and you're experiencing this crazy nightmare that you conceived and scripted before the Big Bang. And so anytime it feels like you're receiving internal guidance from your soul or your spirit or God or your dead grandma or Archangel Michael or whatever the fuck, you're not. Those things don't exist. And yet, you know, if the experience, quote unquote, seems real to you, well, that's so be it. That's all right. But you will eventually note that whatever guidance you think you have received throughout life, look at how many times it didn't guide you right. Look at how many times you stepped in front of a fucking car. Look how many times you fell in love with someone who ended up beating the hell out of you. So it's, like I say, there's just this one consciousness, just this one I am, you, that's experiencing this temporary self, this temporary creature, this temporary ego and vanity and collection of memories and preferences. You notice how there's things that you don't like the taste of, you don't like eating. Well, that you will note that you don't like. In other words, the dislike isn't based on some kind of conscious decision. It's not based on some kind of weighing the pros and cons. You know, you either like the taste of raw tomatoes or you don't like the taste of raw tomatoes. You either like the taste of raw cucumber or you don't like the taste of raw cucumber. You know, so it's you notice that that's evidence of a program. That's evidence of something that's been set, you know, without your conscious decision as a human being. It's further evidence of how things have been set and how they unfold and unfurl. I do know that for some people, it's been a fact in their life where perhaps as a child they could not stand the taste of raw tomatoes, and later on as an elderly person they suddenly do like the taste of tomatoes, raw tomatoes. But as I say, no matter what changes this human goes through or expresses or bees, you'll notice that the I am is still the same. You're still the same I am that you were when you were a kid. You're the same open window, you know, you're the same eyeball that's swimming through this colorful stream of emotions, of good moments and bad moments, of dull moments and exciting moments. And that's all it really is moments and moments, isn't it? Just moment to moment. Sometimes when you're in a really suicidal black mood, man, you realize, holy fuck, man, I just got to get through this moment without killing myself. Just, it's moment by moment. Never mind trying to keep from killing myself by the end of the day. We just got to get through this moment. If we can just calm down in this moment. And as I say, the I am, you know, if you as an I am get completely immersed and identify with this illusion, this physical drama, then that's okay. That's what we intended. Remember, the whole reason for our intentionally choosing to forget reality heaven was because it gets boring. The only reason why we're here is because we intentionally wanted to forget we are perfect eternal conscious energy. Because if you think of our home state of awareness as something that never changes, it's like being in a room with no windows and a broken record that plays the same happy song over and over and over. You might feel safe and at peace and enjoy the happy song, but after a while, you become numb, you become dull. You want the contrast that is provided by intentionally choosing to forget it, by intentionally scripting a dream self, a dream story that you can get immersed into and completely forget that you're perfect eternal conscious energy. And as I say, the reason why I can talk about it so confidently and casually and nonchalantly is because I've been talking about it and thinking about it and writing about it since I was a fucking kid. I mean, granted, the paradigm of perfect eternal conscious energy didn't start falling into place until October of '93 when I was an adult, but the point I'm trying to make is that Philosopher Newport speaks from an exceptional amount of many, many, many years of thinking about enlightenment, spiritual awakening, philosophy, just the fundamentals about this existence. The four fundamental questions are, why am I alive as a temporary creature in a temporary world? How did this happen? Why did this happen? The second question is there a puppet master God responsible for this physical world and all of us? Are we just its creations, its little temporary imaginary creations? The third question is, what happens when we die? Do we actually just stop thinking and feeling and being aware forever and ever and ever? Or do we wake up in some judgment center or wake up before some sort of puppet master God? And the fourth question is this dream world, is it all free will, free play, making it up as we go along? Or has it been scripted and predetermined before the Big Bang, and therefore is simply unfolding and unfurling? And, the title of this video was, or still is, Your Life Sucks Shit and You Live in Hell. And that's a good thing to know, and it's a good thing to promote, especially to your children. You want to get it through their head as early as possible to stop expecting the struggle and suffering to end. To teach them that bad things happen and that they're meant to happen. Why are they meant to happen? So that the good things and the nice things stand out. So that you're able to notice the difference between a good mood and a bad mood. You're able to notice the difference between a nice tasty curry and a shitty, greasy curry. You're able to notice the difference between kindness and meanness. And that this life is a ride. And that you're here for the ups and downs and twists and turns. And you simply cannot appreciate the ups without the downs. You can't appreciate the sweet without the sour. You can't appreciate the success without the failure. You fucking can't. And we all, at various times take various things for granted until we get slapped in the face with the opposite. I didn't know how good I had it living in America till I moved here to England. And now I look at you fucking Americans and I see you all as a bunch of spoiled brats who truly don't know how good you got it, at least materially speaking. But also freedom-wise, man. Here in England, it's not an exaggeration. You can verify it for yourself. You can Google it, even though Google is compromised. That there's people over here in England who have been arrested by the police and charged with a crime because of a tweet. Because they tweeted something hateful about Muslims or whoever else. And the police have come and arrested them and taken them to jail. At least you haven't had to put up with that yet, America. And hopefully you won't have to. But the Democrats ain't doing you no favor on that front. When I was growing up, man, what you would call your left-wing libtards, which were your yippies and your hippies and your anti-war freaks, they were cool. They were for freedom of speech. They were for freedom of the press. They were anti-censorship. They were libertarian in various ways, as far as, believing people ought to have the right to have sex with whoever they want to have sex with, who's consenting and an adult. They ought to have the right to look at whatever they want to look at, listen to whatever they want to listen to, inject or snort or smoke or eat whatever or drink whatever the fuck they want, So they were pro-liberty, the left-wing libtards of the 60s and 70s. Free speech. Unfortunately, they were anti-gun. That is unfortunate, and they were anti-military. They were throwing the baby out with the bathwater. I mean, it's one thing to be anti-war. It's another thing to be anti-military. When you live in fucking hell, and you live in a world where there are other countries that would love to fucking, overrun your government and in place and put their own government and control the people the way they want to control the people. I mean, in other words, you live in a hostile world, so it's ridiculous to insist that your government doesn't have a military or insist that your country doesn't have a military. That's ridiculous. You live in hell. You live in a hostile world. Do you want to be overrun by the fucking Chinese? Really? Do you know what's going on over in China as far as their social networking scores and all this bullshit? Whether or not you get a mortgage is now based on what your social ranking is as far as your internet history, what you've said in Tweeterland and Facebook and elsewhere. Do you want that in America? Whether or not you can go to a dentist or a doctor or this or that based on what you've said or what you've liked or what you've disliked, what you've given a thumbs down. I mean, fuck me, Jack. So anyways, the point being, the left-wing libtards, they were for freedom of speech, liberty to do what the fuck you want with consenting adults, to do what you want as long as it's not threatening anyone else. But they were anti-gun and they were anti-military. But it grew and grew. The politicians, the people in the upper echelons of the Justice Department and other elements of the government began to sort of use it and abuse it, and now they've gone from one extreme to another. Now the left-wing libtards are the oppressors. They're the ones that are in favor of censorship. They're the ones that say Americans don't have the right to say hateful things about the Muslims or Sharia law or the Jews or the Christians or the blacks or the whites or the Swedes or the Dutch. Or, I mean, you know, it's like I say, in the 60s and 70s, the left-wing libtards, they were criticizing the government. They were calling for the overthrow of the government. They were calling the government fascist. They were calling Richard Nixon a fascist. They were calling Ronald Reagan a fascist. And indeed, Ronald Reagan, you know, the Reagan years were the beginning of the just say no bullshit and the zero tolerance, where people were losing their cars or their house or their boat just because the cops found a fucking joint, you know, or a half ounce of weed. You know, it was zero tolerance. No, you're caught with any drugs at all. No, that's it. Fuck it. You're a criminal. You're a dealer. And, but like I say, you know, now it's gone completely the other way. So now the left-wing libtards are for censorship. They're in support of YouTube banning people and demonetizing people just because of what they say is not considered politically correct. It's shocking. It's shocking. And so now the lines have become blurred. Truly. You know, it's repulsive to me to identify with the Democrats or the Republicans. It's repulsive to me to identify with any label. Those labels are all just a bunch of tomfoolery. Just a bunch of AC/DC t-shirts and Black Sabbath t-shirts and whatever. Disco Sucks t-shirts. It's all just superficial and shallow and bullshit. We, the decent people of the world, just want people to treat each other decently and fairly. Whatever law is established applies to all. There's no exceptions. There's none of this one law for the poor people and a different law for the rich people. And we, the decent people, want to have the right to bear arms against the criminals because the criminals don't listen or obey the law against gun ownership. So if you ban all guns, the criminals still have the guns. Well, that's not fair to us who are not criminals, who are being attacked by the criminals with guns. We think it's only fair that we have guns to shoot the fucking criminals that have the guns. Do you understand? To say that to eliminate guns would eliminate gun violence and gun shootings, well, that's a load of shit. Because the criminals have guns. Guns will be made even if you outlaw guns on the whole planet. There will still be human beings who will manufacture guns for the criminals that want them. So decent people just want the right to say whatever they want to say, read whatever they want to read, write whatever they want to write, trusting that if someone comes across speech or writing that they find offensive, that they can stop listening to that speech or stop reading that speech and find something that they do like. It's not fair for you to say that because you don't like something, that no one else should be allowed to hear it either. That's not fair. Just because you don't like the effects of alcohol, it's not fair for you to say no one else should like the effects of alcohol. No one else should have access to it. Just because when you get drunk, you go drunk driving and drive into a crowded bus stop, or just because when you get drunk, you beat your children and rape your wife, doesn't mean that everyone else behaves that way when they get drunk. Just because you got lung cancer from smoking 5 packs of cigarettes a day, Camel unfiltered, doesn't mean that everyone else is going to get cancer just because they smoke cigarettes. So decent people just want decent people to treat each other decently, and to trust that if there's something you don't like, well, then you avoid it, but you don't say that it should be prohibited from everyone else. But we live in hell, so it doesn't matter what I say or don't say. I'm going to eat shit and ice cream till the day I die. You are going to eat shit and ice cream until the day you die. No matter what I say or don't say, no matter what you say or don't say, no matter what we think or don't think, do or don't do, feel or don't feel, see or don't see, experience or don't experience, we are all going to eat shit and ice cream until the day we die. We're going to have ups and downs, highs and lows. We'll title this, Your Life Sucks Shit and You Live in Hell, Part 1. I am your Philobabblist Extraordinaire, Alexander T. Newport, Philosopher Newport. This has been the Al Newport Show. It'd be groovy if you hit the subscribe button. If you got any comments, any arguments, you're welcome to leave them. We have books available at Amazon. All you gotta do is type in the name Alexander T. Newport. You'll find them. And yeah, that's about it, Jack. Today's date has been the 9th of June, 2019. It's raining outside. It's about 70 degrees, I would say. And yeah, that's about it, Jack. Be cool, fool.